When it comes to the differences between adoption and utilizing assisted reproductive technologies to build your family, there are some important things to consider and ask yourself. Is it important to you and your spouse to have a genetic connection to your child? Are you ready, willing, and open to work through what it means for your child to have a birth or first family in addition to your own family? What's your budget? One of the biggest differences is the level of control that you have as a prospective parent. You have much more control with assisted reproduction and less control with adoption. With the assisted reproduction route, the intended parents receive help from donors and/or surrogate mothers who volunteer before a pregnancy is achieved to help the intended parents have their own child. When receiving donor eggs, sperm, or embryos, many times the intended mother can carry the child herself and can therefore carry out the pregnancy on her own terms. With gestational surrogacy, there are also multiple screening tools and safeguards in place, which allow the intended parents to decide who they are comfortable working with as their surrogate. Additionally, the parties working together on an assisted reproduction matter are psychologically screened and often undergo background checks, home visits, and multiple meetings as well. They meet with attorneys and agencies. The donors and surrogates sign detailed contracts with the intended parents covering everything from what they'll eat to where they'll travel, and the contract makes it clear that the donor or gestational surrogate will follow the instructions of the medical team. In gestational surrogacy cases, the intended parents are also able to obtain a pre-birth order of parentage, solidifying their parental status prior to their child's birth. As far as cost differences, the legal costs for surrogacy, not including fertility center costs, range from the lower end for families who have a friend or relative willing to carry the child without charging a fee, up to a much greater amount for intended parents hiring a full-service agency or working with an independent compensated surrogate. The total cost also depends on factors like the experience level of the surrogate and her insurance situation, which can add additional costs. In contrast, with an adoption, the expectant mother is considering choosing someone else to raise her child, and she cannot provide her written consent to the adoption until after the child's birth. In some cases, expectant mothers are not compliant with medical instructions and may be using tobacco, alcohol, or illegal substances while pregnant. Some women who choose to make an adoption plan don't realize they're pregnant until they're midway into their pregnancy, and therefore did not know to abstain. Prospective adoptive parents have very little input or control over the life of the expectant mother, which is a big difference compared with gestational surrogacy. With an adoption, the prospective adopting parents can only file and finalize their adoption in court after the birth of the child, assuming all legal steps are completed. With adoption, the cost varies widely between state agency adoption, which is often without cost, to out-of-state private agency adoption, which is usually the most expensive kind of adoption. Attorney-assisted private independent adoptions are generally lower cost than private agency adoptions, with the final cost dependent on the particulars of the case and the needs of the expectant mom. Wait times also vary, with the length of time a family waits for a match with an expectant mother possibly being just as long as going through a gestational surrogacy process. When deciding what's right for your family, these important differences between assisted reproduction and adoption should be considered. Every family decision will be based on unique and very personal factors. Our law firm offers a family building consultation in both our Atlanta and Charlotte offices, which allows you to talk through these and other differences, as well as practical how-tos and options for both the assisted reproductive technologies and adoption routes.
We've been building and securing families
for over 30 years.